Hi, everyone. Welcome to the GI Jobs Get Hired workshop. I'm Rachel Pitts, the Client Success Manager here at GI Jobs, and I'm also married to an active duty Marine living that spouse life. So I'm very excited to have you all here, and we have some super knowledgeable panelists who are going to give us an inside look into landing those highly sought after federal jobs, as well as providing information on getting hired in general. As many of you know, the VA is broken into 3 branches with subsections under those, and we are blessed to have representatives from several of those today. We have someone from the Veteran Health Association, Veteran Readiness and Employment, and the Veteran Employment Program Office. So all the right people to give us some great advice. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we'll jump into some questions regarding regarding federal resumes. Zelda, would you like to kick things off?
Absolutely. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zelda Davis with the Department of Veteran Affairs, Veteran Employment Services Office. I started my federal career 21 years ago with the Department of Defense, where I was hired as a training program manager at Fort Lee, Virginia. I later applied for a position, a program with the Presidential Management Fellows Program, and was selected for a position in the Veteran Benefits Administration at VA. Later, I took another assignment, position with the Veteran Employment Services Office, now known as the Veteran Employment Program Office, where we assist and advocate for assisting veterans, transitioning service members, and military spouses finding employment opportunities primarily in the VA. So thank you so much. I look forward to providing you with great information to help you in the federal hiring process. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Zelda. Great information. Nice to meet you. And Mary, let's hear about you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are at in the world. I am Mary Beard, and I work for the Veterans Benefits Administration and the Veteran Readiness and Employment Division, formerly known as Vocational Rehabilitation and Employment. I've been with the Veterans Administration for 15 years, starting my career out as an intern, working for Veterans Health Administration, and I've been employed with the VA for 15 years now. So I'm looking forward to being able to give everyone great advice and helping them move forward in the federal application process.
Awesome. Thanks, Mary. Glad to have you here. All right, Terry, you're up.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Terry Anderson. I'm a National Healthcare Recruiter Consultant with the Department of Veterans Affairs, the Healthcare, the VHA, under the National Recruitment Services. My focus is to recruit and search for critical and challenging hard-to-fill recruitment needs of the VHA's medical center and facilities in mental health, primary care, and medical subspecialists. In essence, I am recruiting physicians, healthcare professionals, and executives. I'm a veteran myself from the United States Navy. I served 26 years of service. I'm retired, of course, as a Hospital Corpsman C Chief Fleet Marine Force. So thank you for having me on the panel.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. All right, let's jump right into the questions. So Terry, I'm going to give this one to you. How does an applicant start their federal career search for a government job?
Well, first of all, you can go to, can you hear me? Yeah, you can go to USA Jobs and go to USA Jobs. And once you find that usajobs.gov, or you go there and create a USA Jobs profile. And from there, you can also go to the federal application process and then explore your opportunities. That's where I would go.
Yes, and the great thing about USA Jobs is they save your information, because I've been on there for quite some time throughout my years of moving around. And in what ways does a federal resume differ from one in the private sector? Zelda, do you want to give some insight on that?
Yes, so the private sector resume normally is shorter in length, no more than 1 to 4 pages, but the federal resume is really unlimited pages, right? But it's in greater detail. You know, you need to explain and tailor your resume and really go into more detail as to what your experience and specialized skills is. It's also in reverse chronological order. It's also, with the private sector resume, it's concise, but the information is not as detailed as a federal resume. And also the federal resume also allows you to list your achievements as well as training, your educational training opportunities or degrees that you may have. So again, the main difference is you have more of an opportunity to list out what you actually demonstrate your experiences versus the private sector resume.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely unusual compared to the private sector, because everybody's always saying, you know, any more than 2 pages and they're just going to throw it out, you know, so that's really good to know. On that same topic, what about military acronyms? Is there more leeway with federal resumes with the than with corporate versions? That is it more important to translate military jargon to language non-veterans can easily understand?
Absolutely.
Go ahead. Jump
I
right
was going
in.
to say absolutely, because the HR professional and or the hiring manager, they're not going to know or be aware of what you're talking about, right? So you want to make sure that you spell out those acronyms to better explain what your experience is. Also, too, there are several military translating softwares that are available to the applicant. So, you know, everything is on the internet. So you can either go to VA, we offer on the VA for Vets website, we offer the military translating skills resource tool, but you can also go to monster.com. You can go to Career Source One. There are different software out there. So please take advantage. Take advantage. Don't assume that the HR professional knows what you're talking about when you are demonstrating your experience using acronyms.
Thank you. Yeah. Terry, did you have something to add?
Well, she's exactly right. Zelda hit it right on the nail. But I do want to go back to that one point that you went to in regards to how do you apply for jobs. Now, I must tell you, for physicians, it's a little different. You can go through USA Jobs, of course, but also you can also, with physicians, you can actually provide just your resume and go from there. You can provide it to the hiring manager there at a facility. So I just wanted to put that out there for physicians. But yeah,
I would also recommend checking the agency's websites, because not all agencies use USA Jobs. So sometimes you have to go to individual websites to check to see if they have their job announcements, because sometimes they have special job announcements that's just on that particular agency's website. And also, people don't know that there's websites too that will translate your MOS to regular civilian language. So also check on that, because you can give them your MOS code and it will translate it to regular civilian terms right for you. So that also is very helpful.
Thank you, Mary. Yes, that's definitely helpful, especially across branches, because one acronym in the Marine Corps is going to be something different in the Navy or the Army. And one trick of the trade, I guess, is if somebody is writing something like a fit rep or a resume, to give it to their spouse or some civilian that, you know, my husband and I have been together for like 10 years and I still don't know exactly what he does. But so if he were to give me something with all his jargon on it, I wouldn't understand. So, you know, to run it by a civilian and make sure that they understand what you're discussing without use of the acronyms, that would be a really good way to soundboard if it's ready to be submitted.
Rachel, I just wanted to go back because I just seen a question come into the chat about available resources. So I just want to say that again. One is VA offers on the VA for Vets website, www.vaforvets.va.gov. We offer the military translated skills, but you can also go to Career One Source, ONET, military.com. Those are some of the available websites that you can go to.
Thank you. Yeah. And we'll try and get those in the chat before the end of the workshop too. Thank you, Zelda. All right, let's move on. So keeping in topic of the resume, what are the key components? What information should they list on their federal resume? Mary, do you have any insights on this one?
I definitely recommend that you list your skills, your education, any type of training or certifications that you have, and definitely make sure that your your information is matching to the announcement. So there's websites too that can assist you that will match literally the job announcement to your resume and give it a tentative score. So you always want to make sure that you're scoring within the 90s or above, because then that's showing that your skill set and that you're matching to the job announcement. If you're scoring below that, then you're not technically probably going to be a good fit for that job announcement. And then I always tell people, go to OPM and make sure that you're checking the GS levels to make sure that you meet those minimum qualifications as well, because each GS level has an education on top of experience on what it qualifies for you to make that cert. So people don't normally check those, and they just apply thinking I want to be a GS 13, but do you actually meet the education and the qualifications for a GS 13? You can always apply for them, and you're not going to make that if that's not what you necessarily are going to meet the qualifications for. So those are the things that I really recommend that you make sure that you have, and that you read the announcement. If the announcement says 5 pages, or if the announcement says that you have to have these key qualifications, you have to have them. If you don't have them, you will be disqualified. You're not going to make the cert.
I agree with you, Mary. And also pay particular attention to the required documents section, and be sure not to leave anything out.
Definitely not. Yes, that is an automatic disqualification, especially for federal jobs. So anything to add, Zelda?
Also, to make sure that you keep up with the job opportunity announcement, the vacancy announcement number, right? Especially if you're not using Resume Builder, you want to make sure that you put the JOA, that number listed somewhere on your resume applications. One, so that the hiring manager, the HR professional will know which position you are applying to. But number two, if you have an issue, you're able to refer back to that specific job opportunity announcement. Also, to make sure that you have all of your personal information, meaning your contact information, right? That's very important. Also, any educational, training, degrees, certifications, make sure that you list all of that, because it may be relevant to the position that you're also applying for. And if you volunteer, a lot of people think that volunteer experience doesn't count. Yes, it does, because you're not paid, but it does account. If you volunteer for something and it's relevant to the position, please, please, please make sure that you also list that on your resume application as well. And of course, references. I know I've seen, and I used to do this myself, you put at the bottom of your resume, available references upon request. Well, when you use Resume Builder, there is a section for you to list your references. So please make sure that you do that, because it's important, and it's one of the requirements for the hiring manager to do in the federal government is to conduct a reference check. So just please make sure that you're aware of that as well.
Great information. Thank you. I want to go back to something that you mentioned, Mary, about making sure that your resume is aligned with the job position. So would you guys suggest having several different versions of a resume? So like customizing it every time, or would it be okay to just submit one resume to several job descriptions?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I'm so glad you said that.
Right. And so you have to make sure that you tailor the resume to the specific job that you are applying to. There is no such thing as one resume fits all, right? And I've spoken to several of our customers about that, because we always get, I know I qualify for this job, but I'm not being referred. And 90% of the time, it's because your resume is not, you're not tailoring your resume, it's not speaking to the announcement, right? Your experience is not being demonstrated. So that's a great question, Rachel, and that is crucial. Make sure that you tailor your resume according to the announcement that you're applying for. They are different, you may have the same type of position, the same position title, but you got to read the duties and responsibilities and the specialized experience section. That's key too, because they're all different. Even though management analyst is not the same as another management analyst in another office. So just keep that in mind.
And Zelda, that's the beauty of Usajobs too, because you can also upload and store several resumes.
Absolutely.
But you also, like she said, you want to curtail your resume to the jobs and duties that you're applying to. So just keep that in mind as well.
Definitely. I completely agree. I have a folder of different resumes, and then I title them by, I save them by year, month, year, and then job position title. So you can, it's okay to have like one basic one, but then go in and add those keywords and customize them. So yeah, great information. And you mentioned resume builder has been mentioned on here a couple times. Is that something through USA Jobs that's a templatized? Mary, can you expand on that?
Yes, so the resume builder is for most agencies, it's the preferred method that's preferred by a lot of hiring managers and by HR. It allows them to quickly find the information that they're looking for. It structures your resume for you. You can put it out into a Word document. It's very easy, very friendly, and it's very efficient. I really recommend that everybody at least do it and continue to expand upon it at least once. Most agencies, I don't know too many that do not like the resume builder. I know that it's highly, highly preferred, and I work with a lot of different agencies, and most will prefer that over your handwritten or your structured resume.
Okay.
And I'd
Anybody
like
else
to
want
add
to add
something
anything?
with that too. It's like Mary said, it's beneficial to the hiring manager, but it's also beneficial to the applicant because your formatted resume may miss something. Whereas in Resume Builder, it's specific sections so that you want to make sure that you include all the information, right? Because you want, that's going to make your chances even the more better for you if you have all the information listed versus you may leave something out, such as the length of time. You know, sometimes I've seen resumes that customers have created themselves and they don't have the amount of time that they've been at a specific position. That's crucial, right? Because that's how the HR professional determines how long you've been in that position when they're looking at your experience. So, you know, just keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, great information. All right, so good to know about Resume Builder. Is that downloadable or is it just housed on the site? Just curious.
It's housed on the site,
Okay.
but after you finish it, you can download it and you can use it elsewhere.
That's really cool. All right, let's move on to our next question. So should service members or veterans include all of their military experience on their resume?
I would say, oh, go ahead.
Eric, no, go ahead.
Okay, sure. So yes, because your military experience is very important. I mean, that's what you've been doing for you know, your career. So of course, it's very important to list that. But also when you list this information down, don't assume that the HR person reading it knows and understands what you accomplished or what you did. You have to actually put it in words and display it in your resume.
Mm-hmm.
And one other thing, you also have to put your dates. Make sure your dates all jive too. You have to have dates.
Yes, that's very
go ahead.
important.
Yeah,
And do you think month and year is
I'm sorry. Yes.
acceptable?
Month and
Okay,
year,
just
great.
yeah.
Yes.
So don't stress if you stopped one job on the 15th and started the next one on the 17th. If you can't remember the actual day, just the month and year is good.
That's
Okay.
great. Thanks, Rachel.
Great.
Yep.
Zelda, did you have something to add?
To go back to real quick, just to say this, you mentioned too about how many resumes you can store. You can store 5 resumes. It's fine. You can store the 5 resumes. What we recommend to our customers is do a master resume first, listing your experience going back no more than 10 years. Like I served 21 years in the federal government, so I have a lot of experience, but I'm not going to go back. It's 21 years. That's a lot. So we always recommend 10 years, unless the experiences that you need for the job is beyond the 10 years, then of course you want to make sure that you include it. But for our office, and I think OPM too, because I've attended some of their webinars, 10 years, at least 10 years.
Yeah, that was actually a question that came in the inbox. So thank you. Yeah. All All right. Does the VA use automatic tracking software to sort the resumes? And if so, what should military job seekers do to increase the chances of their resume getting in front of a real person?
I can, no, and that's a myth that's out there that we use some tracking system in order to flag your resume. Now, the human resource staff actually have to go through each and every resume.
Mhm.
And yes, and yeah.
Okay, good to know. Yeah. All right. One of the questions that came through the inbox is, I think, relevant to some of our military spouses. What if you don't have a reference because you have been unemployed for a long period? What would you recommend somebody do if they're getting back into the workforce in regards to references?
If you don't have, well, Terry or Mary,
Yeah, I was gonna,
I'm thinking volunteer hours, maybe, you know, I would
I was
suggest
gonna
that.
suggest if you don't have a professional reference, yes, volunteer wherever you're volunteering at, or if you have to go to a personal, right, someone that personally knows you and can attest to your care, you know, how you are, absolutely
yeah.
use a personal reference.
Okay, great. Not your mom though, right? Maybe a former colleague, long-term friend. Yeah. And my mom would probably be honest anyway. Tell everybody I'm late to everything. She'd rat me out. All right. So I'm going to give you panelists just a few minutes. I'm going to take over the screen and show our attendees how to actually register for our virtual career expo, where they can come and look at potential employers, and even the VA will be there. So Miss Zelda, I know she's always in that booth, ready to chat. So
I'll be there on the 30th.
yes, ma'am. All right, so you guys can grab a sip of water. I'm going to share my screen. All right, can you all see this?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so in order to come to the Virtual Career Expo, you just go to www.gijobs.com. And this is our site. You'll click on Reserve My Ticket. So once you click Reserve Ticket, it'll come to here. We've got the countdown for when the actual event is taking place. Again, you click Reserve My Ticket and you'll come here. So if you've ever attended a Virtual Career Expo with us, you'll click Log In. If you've not, you'll fill out your information and sign up. Once you're logged in, you'll fill out your event registration. Again, if you've ever if you ever registered for one of our events before, this will be auto-filled and saved. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So you'll just fill in your information as best as you can, because recruiters are going to be looking through everybody's profiles prior to the event. Victory actually has a booth this month, and we've already been sourcing for one of our sales executives. So make sure that you fill it in as completely as possible, most accurately as possible, because they are coming in here and sorting by expertise, willing to relocate, all these different fields, and inviting people to come chat to them during the event. So very basic information. This is my current title. You can use a past title, just whatever's most relevant, or you can even say like your future client success manager to make yourself look a little bit more enticing. You can put a profile picture on if you so choose. You do not have to. Location. Oh, yep. So being that my husband's in the Marine Corps, he's an instructor out here at Fort Leonard Wood. So we're just here in small town, Missouri. Are you willing to relocate? As a military spouse, I don't get to say where we move. So for me, that's a no. For other people, that may be a yes. Resume, you can store your resume here. It will continue to be saved until you update it. You have the option to link your LinkedIn profile. That way they can maybe get a better look at who you are and what you do. Highest level of education, what date you're available for work, area of expertise. This one is very important. I would not skip this because again, all of these employers are coming in and they're sorting through and they're able to filter by that area of expertise. So if you're looking for a sales position, make sure that you click on that. And then you can also include this. This is a text field. So this is also sortable by employees. So this is where you get a little bit more granular on what your actual expertise and experience is. Basic information, U.S. citizen, branch of service, again, military affiliation. So you might be in the Navy, but you're a veteran or you're retired. So just make sure you're as specific as possible. For me, I'm leaving this blank because my husband's doing the serving. I'm just along for the ride. I wish that I could use my husband's rank, but unfortunately still just got that spouse badge. MOS code. So this would be specific to military, active duty veteran. Security clearance, you can add that information. And then are you interested in furthering your education? Say you've got a bachelor's degree, you're interested in education opportunities for maybe a technical certificate or cybersecurity, some additional add-on. So you can say yes or no to that. And then are you interested in franchise opportunities? We actually work with a lot of franchisors who have great deals for veterans. Some of them are exclusive to veterans. So if you're interested in just learning more about that, you can click yes for that. Self-identification, licensing, you can add your phone number if you'd like, and then you're going to click submit. And once you click submit, you're going to go to the actual event. You're able to preview it and see the lobby and all of the employers. And so just like, oh, I timed out. There we go. So just like they can come and search for employees, you can also go and search for jobs. So you're getting the real view here. Submit. All right, and then you'll click this enter event button, and you can go through these slides that tell you a little bit more about connecting. And here we go. I'll make this a little bit smaller. Here are just some of the booths that are available. So we've got JDOG, that's a franchising opportunity. We've got Learning Alliance, where they do on-the-job training and then set you up with employment afterwards. Veteran Service Brands, another franchise opportunity. Lots of different options to just look through, and you can go in and select the opportunities tab or join our team today, and they actually have a lot of links to their positions that are available. So I highly recommend registering for the event and getting in there early and making sure you know more about the company, because if you're in the market and you go into a chat and just say hi, that's not going to be a productive chat. You need to do your research, know what's available, come with questions that you may have about specific positions, and that's going to lead to a really more productive conversation with the recruiters when you're in here, because there is a 10-minute limit on the chat, but they can extend up to 20 if the chat's going really well. You may even be invited to hop on a video chat. So dress for success. You can do sweatpants on the bottom, but a nice blouse on top, it's all video. But yeah, so this is our virtual career expo, and it's going on next Wednesday from 12 to 4 Eastern time. So all coasts can make it. All right. I'm going to stop sharing and we can get back into some questions. So I had one question come into the chat earlier, and it said, if I don't have military experience of the job I'm applying for, what can I do to help me get considered? For example, going from logistics to healthcare. Terry, you're a resident healthcare expert. I'll let you take that.
Yes, well, it's like, if you really, so someone, you're saying they're in IT and they want to go into healthcare?
The example was logistics. So I assume that they would have the right certificate. They'd have to have this.
I think
the right
they're saying the military
qualifications.
experience was logistics, and now their training and education or whatever is in healthcare. So I explained that one doesn't negate the other. So just because your military experience might be in logistics and you're now trying to go over to healthcare, it doesn't have to necessarily be military experience. It could be your volunteer experience, or you might have done a practicum, you might have done an internship, it might have been any other experience. It doesn't necessarily, USA Jobs, it doesn't just tailor it to it being your military experience, it's any experience that you might have had. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your military experience, it's any experience that you might have had that you can relate to within the healthcare field. And if not, you might have to consider doing an on-the-job training or something to help you get that training or skill set that you might need.
Yeah.
Sorry, Terry. Now
Yep.
you can.
Yeah, those are some great points, Mary. However, I tell you, what you mentioned, something like logistics and working in the medical field, I must tell you that we do have non-clinical occupations in the VHA, in the health, in the medical facilities. In fact, I'm thinking of logistics, and I'm thinking someone wants to work in the healthcare field. I know that some of our shortages in the VHA, one is medical support assistants, and then another one is a medical supply aid and technician. Those are highly critical occupations. So that's what just comes to mind from when you're saying logistics and wanting to work in the medical field. Now, also know that once you're in these particular positions, you can aspire to continue on and advance as well, perhaps into a lead or even a supervisor. Just think that way as well. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. And I mean, not going into a field that's requires a different degree, you can also look at job descriptions. For example, I was a high school teacher for 6 years before I became a program director at a library, and then now I'm here a client success manager. So I've never done this position before, but if you look at a job description and kind of check off your skills and abilities,
Right.
you should be able to sell yourself in an interview and, you know, incorporate those skills and abilities into your resume and assure the employer that you do have what it takes to do that position. So,
yes, and just
yeah.
like Mary said, in the facilities, a lot of facilities will love to have folks volunteer first, so they can get to know you. You kick the tires, see if you really want, if this is a field that you want to go into, and they also get to know you as well. So Mary brought up a very good point. Volunteering.
Zelda, did you have something to add?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Terry. Okay, let's keep going. So so healthcare workers make up nearly 90% of the VA's workforce of more than 400,000 employees. So that's a lot of those critical occupations you were talking about. And veterans make up nearly 30% of the VA's workforce. Also, fun fact, the VHA currently has 50,000 vacancies, which include doctors, nurses, schedulers, social workers, and housekeeping aides. So lots of opportunities out there for those who are looking. All right, Zelda, we discussed earlier that USA Jobs is the official government website for applying for federal jobs. But what does USA Jobs allow applicants to do in the federal hiring process?
After you create, as Terry said earlier, after you create your profile on USA Jobs, you can conduct a search. You can search for jobs. You can create search agents. What does that mean? That means how often do you want to, if you're aggressively seeking a job, you can set it up in your profile that you receive daily alerts or weekly alerts or monthly alerts. It's really up to you. You can also, of course, build and store up to 5 resumes. And you can also review some of the online questionnaires, right? That's very important. And the reason that's important is because reading a questionnaire before you actually do the application is going to let you know, do I really qualify for this position? Do I really have the experience or the specialized skills? Don't waste your time. We always say, don't waste your time if you know that you do not qualify for the position, right? Because you get a lot of those notice of results saying, I don't qualify, I'm not going to be referred. And you get kind of tired, right, of receiving those. So just keep that in mind. But also too, for veterans, there's a green icon with a shield, and for military spouses, there is a green icon with 2 circles. So you can also conduct your search by just clicking on your icon, and that will filter those jobs specifically for the veteran and or military spouses, so that you don't have to filter through all of those and of course, what location that you're looking for as well. So just keep that in mind. And again, Usajobs Resume Builder is like a headhunter. It's like your own personal headhunter. You customize it the way you want to do it to make it easier for you to find a job and apply for a job in the federal government.
Thank you, Zelda. Yes, I love those filter options. They make everything a lot more easy, like streamlined. All right. Let's see what else we have. When applying for federal jobs, what documentation is important for the applicant to upload to their resume application? So what documentation is necessary? Do you have any insights on this one, Terry?
Yeah, well, of course, your resume, and make sure you document. Well, first you need to read what they're asking for. What they're asking for. They could be asking for transcripts, certifications, licenses, those type of things. But please ensure that you upload that pertinent information that they're asking for. And of course, it would be your resume. And if you have your resume and you forward a cover letter, put the information on your resume, and you can enhance what you're trying to say, or highlight what you want the reader to see on your cover letter.
Okay. Yeah, great information. I've always been a big fan of a cover letter. So
I'm too. Yes.
all right. So how long does it typically take to hire within the VA from application to notification of hire?
Wow.
Anybody want to take that?
So now that varies.
Okay.
And I must tell you, one of our critical needs in the VHA is HR representatives, HR assistants, HR specialists. And so again, it depends on the facility. It depends on the timeliness of the need for the position, and also just the personnel actually going through all of the announcements and records. So I mean that varies. I mean, perhaps Mary or Zelda has another answer, but it varies.
I agree with Terry. It does vary.
I give the standard answer that we have up until 90 days to fill that cert before it expires, and we can ask for a 30-day extension. So we have up until 120 days. After 120 days I give the OPM answer.
That's right.
So they have up until 120 days from the date that cert is given and up until it expires. So they have over 4 months to get an answer out to you. So when you see it and it's 4 months and it's still sitting out there and you haven't gotten a response, they're still within legal ramifications of still being able to hire for that certification.
Okay. And that kind of answers one of the questions that came through in the chat. Someone asked if they're currently pregnant but due soon. How soon is too soon to start looking? So I think that gives them some leeway. So if somebody is currently pregnant but looking for a job 4 months out, after they take 6 to 12 weeks maternity leave, it wouldn't be a bad decision to start looking now.
Rachel, I want to go back to the question and elaborate on what the information that Terry gave as far as what you're required to upload with your application. So
Sure.
for veterans, the key thing is your DD-214. You want to make sure that you have your DD-214, right? And if you are a disabled veteran, you want to make sure that you upload your one pager, not your whole rating that you get from the VA, but you want to make sure that you upload your VA Civil Service Preference Letter. That's going to state, what your, if you're over 30% or under 30%. And I'll definitely want to state this to all veterans and transitioning service members. Do not tell someone that I'm 100% or I'm 90%. That is nobody's business but yours. If someone asks you if you're a disabled veteran, you're only required to say yes or no. Yes, I am a 30% or more, or you're under 30%. That's it, because that's really nobody's business but yours. Also too, for military spouses, eligible military spouses, please make sure that you read the requirements for eligibility. And I wrote this down because I wanted to make sure that I communicate that. It's going to be listed on your application, but also that you are married to an active duty service member on orders. That's one. That your spouse is 100% disabled, meaning they're unemployable, because you can use their vet preference, right? You can use their DD-214 to apply for a position. And also you have to have a copy of their orders if they're still on active duty. And if, God forbid, they pass, get killed on active duty, the DD-1300 casualty report, that is also, so those are important documentations that's going to be required for them to upload. So I wanted to make sure that I added that to what Terry said.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Zelda. That was a very, very good catch. Also, if you have any questions in regards to veterans preference or any questions like that, Zelda gave you some good information, but also you can go to Usajobs and then click on the help and then type that in there, veterans preference, and it perhaps maybe anywhere from 15 to 20 different titles will come up. So take a look at that as well, is what Zelda said.
Great advice. Thank you. So going back to the time frame of hiring, have you guys noticed any change due to the shortage of workers recently? Has that time frame shrunk, or since it's the government, is it still just that 120 days, the legal answer?
Well, I'll take this. Mary or Zelda, you want to?
I was just going to say, when the pandemic hit, there was an uptick quickly. Now I'm not a HR specialist, but I do know that there's a big push in the medical field. Terry can talk about that. Mary can talk about that. And so from what I understand and being at meetings, it was bringing them on. Direct hiring authorities were given, and they were bringing people on board quicker than usual.
Yes, that's exactly right. In fact, we have time to hire in the VHA, and we are trying to onboard as quickly as possible. I mean, we're for HR, we're literally under the microscope, and we know that we need to hire folks quicker. We understand, we know that, and we are being assessed by that as well. So that's a very good question. So we're trying to bring on as many, of course, future employees, and of course, veterans. You mentioned earlier, Rachel, that the VA has over I think it's 40% veterans, maybe even more. And we're also looking at, I was looking at the numbers just earlier this morning. I mean, we're talking about 400,000 in 2022. We're looking at having over 406,000 employees employed in the Department of Veterans Affairs alone. So.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, that's a great recap. All right. So overall, what are the most important things that transitioning service members, veterans, and spouses should be aware of regarding the federal hiring process? Like top piece of advice, top piece of, don't do that. Like top do, top don't.
What would you say?
What are the most important things they could do just in the federal hiring process?
First of all, know what career fields you're looking for, because a lot of times when I have conversations with veterans and military spouses, they really don't know. They're not sure. They say, well, I don't know what I want to do. I just know I want to work for the VA. That's not a good answer. You want to know what you want to do. Assess your experiences, right? Go back. If you're in the military, you get ready to transition, or you've already transitioned, go back and look at those reports, right? That list that you got into the military, that you received in the military. I know for me, I was an NCO, non-commissioned officer, so I got a lot of NCO reports. I can look at those things and see what I've done because I was in 21 years, right? So you're going to forget some of the things that you've done, but overall, know what you want to do. Look at the different agencies as well, because different agencies do different things. Kind of know which agencies that you want to apply for the jobs, and then go on USA Jobs or other recruitment platforms and see what's out there, and then apply. Make sure that you tailor your resume to the position and apply. I'm going to say apply.
Yes. And I'm going to say GI Jobs is a great other source to go
Absolutely.
to.
Right, yes. But again, another thing, please do not give up. Don't give up, and you may get discouraged, but keep your head up and continue to apply. And it will happen. It will happen. It may not be in a week, it may not be in a month, maybe in a few months or so, but continue.
And I'm going to piggyback off them.
Yeah, Mary. Yeah.
And just say be patient.
Be patient. Yeah, be patient.
All right, great advice. All right, so the VA has a booth at the GI Jobs Virtual Career Expo every month, and it seems to be quite popular. So what would be the best piece of advice for military job seekers to help them take full advantage of their time at the VCE, the Virtual Career Expo? What should they do? What shouldn't they do? And this doesn't have to just be for the VA booth, but just in general, in that Virtual Career Expo environment, what would your advice be?
Well, like I said previously, do your homework. Like you said, do your homework, come prepared, right? Have some questions. Look over whatever all the agencies. Don't limit yourself to, just don't come to the VA or go to another. Go and visit every booth that's there and make sure that you see what they're offering, and then sell yourself, right? I noticed too, one thing that I noticed is that some of the applicants do not upload a copy of their resume. Make sure that you upload your resume, because that's crucial, right?
Yes, I agree. And even if it's just the master resume that we discussed,
absolutely,
that would probably be the best one. But then this isn't, the Virtual Career Expo isn't an interview. It's it's like a discovery. Yeah. So once you do actually apply for these positions, that's when you can custom tailor that resume. So that's a very good point, Zelda.
And also be ready to ask questions. Just be ready. Be ready. This is your next career. This is for you. And actually that GI Jobs Virtual Career Fair is for you. So be ready and take it serious and find your next opportunity, your next job. And if I can say it one more time, don't give up, continue. Dig in like you did in the military and keep moving. You'll get what you're looking for.
I was going to also say too, it doesn't matter if you come to the GI Jobs Virtual Career Fair, go every time.
Yeah.
Go every time that they provide the opportunity, because again, like Terry said, don't give up. It might be the one time that you go that the door of opportunity is going to open for you. It's a great platform.
Yes, I agree. It is. And it's always changing. We have new employers every month. Fun fact, I was actually hired through one of our Virtual Career Expos. So look at me now. Yeah.
That's right.
So it is possible. I am a success story. And we have them every single month. It's typically the last Wednesday of the month. You can always find information on gijobs.com on when the next one will be. We actually have these Get Hired workshops every month, the week prior to the Virtual Career Expos with different panelists. So it's a really great resource. We always have new questions, and it's always great to get the perspective of different types of recruiters. So yeah, definitely go to the Virtual Career Expos every month and be patient and do your research. Yeah.
And I just want to comment, I do see a lot of questions that people keep asking, like they've been applying for the VA for 4 to 6 years and they haven't gotten hired, or it took them 10 years to get hired. Please understand that when people apply for positions, sometimes while we have not to exceed 100, is because we get thousands upon thousands upon thousands that apply for positions. So realize that you are competing among a lot of people. So don't get discouraged. So someone sent a message saying that they feel like the VA hire within. We don't hire within. People might move around here and there, but those vacancies still have to be filled. So just realize that it is, the VA is very competitive. A lot of people want to work for the VA. A lot of people want to help veterans. So just realize that it's very competitive. It's very hard. The reason why we have those cutoffs is because if we don't have those cutoffs, we can have over 10,000 veterans apply within a few hours or more. So I just wanted to just put it out there that it's very competitive, that it's very hard. So just understand that it's not like it's rigged or that we're just hiring and switching people around. Those vacancies still have to be filled. I don't know if either one of y'all want to comment on that, but I see that we get a lot of the questions we're getting are saying the same thing, that they've been applying for years.
To piggyback off of Mary, to say also too, because of the pandemic, right? There's a lot of people that may not have considered the federal government for employment. Now that they've lost their jobs, they are also considering employment in the federal government. So again, like Mary said, you are competing with so many more people that are now looking for jobs in the federal government. So you want to make sure that your resume is like everything, right? Meaning you demonstrate all of your experiences so that you can do what? Get referred. You want to at least get your resume into the hands of the hiring manager. That's your goal.
Yeah, that's great advice. So I think just coming to this webinar and soaking up the knowledge that you all have provided is going to give everybody here a major leg up. Make sure you have all of your certifications in there. Make sure your resume has the keywords it needs. Just following all of this advice would be great. And these videos will be archived on our Military Spouse and GI Jobs Facebook pages. So if you want to come back and check, review this again, you're always welcome to. And on that note, talking about, oh, no, it's not about certifications. Another question came in, but it's about, it is about making sure your documentation is in there. Keith is asking that he doesn't have his DD-214 quite yet because he's on terminal leave. So he's got 90 days of active duty still, and he wants to start applying. So how would he let the employers know that he has his DD-214 on the way?
Terry, or Mary, isn't there a statement of something that the transitioning service member gets in lieu of the DD-214?
Yes, that's correct. I can't jog it out my mind right now, but that is right. That's correct. And they could probably get it from their human resource or their S1. They can provide that letter.
Okay. Yeah, so just go down to S1, make sure you bring some energy drinks to bribe them to get it done faster. Yeah. I know they're always busy.
That's a good question.
All right, I'm looking through the rest of these questions. I think we've addressed most of them. Okay, so I have a question regarding going from NAF to GS. It says, any advice on navigating the transition from a formerly held DoD civilian NAF position while applying for GS positions? And what would be the best way to note great experience equivalency on your resume?
Yeah, I can't answer that. I don't know. Do you know that one, Mary?
Oh, okay. I believe NAF is not appropriated funds. And then GS is, the typical government funded positions. So I'm sorry, anonymous attendee, we don't have that information. But if you want to drop your email in the chat just to the panelists, then I can get back to you on that.
I can get back to them as well. Yeah, if you would do that, I'll speak to the, I'll address that.
Okay, thanks. All right, I am looking through these questions and I'm not seeing any that we haven't addressed. So any closing remarks, any interview tips?
Don't reinvent the wheel. I'm going to give a tip. And if you know that you're not sure of a job title, position, or the job series, everything is on Google. You can Google OPM job series and whatever the position title is, and it will generate, if that career field is in the federal government, it will generate the actual position title for you. Also, too, go to jobhero.com. That is a great resource to help you craft your bullets for your positions. It will give you the position title and the bullets, and you can kind of edit it. Again, these are things that we like to put out when we give our own individual webinars, because we don't want you to stress yourself out, right? Because again, there's information out there that's readily available for you. You just have to know how to get to the information.
Great, thank you. I put that in there in the chat. So jobhero.com.
Yes.
Great, okay. And just elaborating off of that, one thing that we've suggested in the past, when you get into the Virtual Career Expo and you do have like a quick chat session with an employer, make sure that you have your elevator speech prepared. It's not something you want to just have off the cuff. You should have it written down, you know, anywhere between 60 to 90 seconds, or, you know, 5 or 6 sentences if you're just doing the chat. Practice with your dog, your friends, whatever, but just have it fluid and ready to go, conversational, not scripted. So that's one piece of advice that I just want to reiterate from previous Get Hired workshops. Anything you want to add, Terry?
Well, that was really good. The elevator speech, have that ready. And then also, if you have a business card, remember, if you have business cards, you don't get a prize at the end of the year for keeping them in your pocket or your desk drawer. Pass them out, give them to everyone. Talk to any and everyone, because you don't, you know, the person you may be speaking to may have an opportunity for you. So you may have to get out of your comfort zone and just speak to people whom you've never spoken to before. Be ready to give that elevator speech, believe in yourself, and then also give out your card. One other thing about Usajobs and each announcement has a point of contact. And once you get referred, that point of contact is the person whom you want to stay in contact with. And also make sure that you hit any timelines, datelines that you have to meet. Make sure you meet those timelines. And I know you've heard me say it once before, but please, hey, you can do this, and you will. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, and we look forward to having you on board the Department of Veterans Affairs. So, and thank you so much.
I love that, Terry. Very encouraging. Thank you. There's one question that came in that I want to squeeze in before we go, and it's any suggestions on negotiating pay? I've heard it's best to do so after you've been offered the position. And my annual review is coming up, so I'm all ears.
You definitely want to do it when you're in the tentative offer stage. When you are being offered a position, you want to make sure that you communicate that to the HR professional that you are interested in, again, in the GS. Well, I'm a GS employee, right? And so a lot of times the position will be offered at the step 1. But if you know that you have superior qualifications, it's called the above minimum rate. You can ask for an above minimum rate to be brought in under that. But again, you want to make sure you communicate that in writing. And then the HR professional will take that to the hiring manager, and the hiring manager will say yes or no. But as far as I know, you do that during the negotiation stage, is during the tentative offer stage.
Okay, so definitely don't just jump into a Virtual Career Expo booth and say, I demand $75,000 a year. You know, wait until you're in the stage and within range, and make sure your experience aligns with what you're asking for also. Yeah. So you can definitely research salary ranges. Obviously, you know, the geolocation is going to take, is going to be a factor in that as well for cost of living. So, yeah. All right, and Mary, did you have any other advice for job seekers?
I think they hit the main ones on the head. Be confident, keep applying. If you are constantly making a cert and you're not getting an interview, that means there's something that you need to go back and evaluate to figure out where we might be missing, something. But just keep going out there and keep trying and stay motivated.
Right. Okay, well, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here, and we really appreciate all of our attendees, and we look forward to seeing you all at the Career Expo next week.
Thank you